Feeling like life is overwhelming? Are you ready to break free and learn what it feels like to be unstoppable? Then you're in the right spot. Welcome to We Are Not Lost, the podcast focused on helping women find their true selves, learn to live more authentically, and stop feeling burned out. Here's your host, Virpal Kaur.
Hello, welcome to the We Are Not Lost podcast with your host, Seth. And today I have another amazing guest with me, Virpal Kaur. She's a traditional Reiki Master, along with professional background, include 15 years of experience in financial and business analysis in a variety of organizations. She's particularly devoted to support women in connecting with their divine feminine. She supports her community through one-on-one Reikis, women's circles, Reiki Circles, and hosts workshops. Welcome, Virpal, to today's episode about self-love and self-relationship discovery. I'm so glad to have you here. Hi, Virpal.
Hi, Satvinder. Thank you so much for that introduction. I'm so happy to be here. And I thought perhaps we could start with a grounding meditation.
Awesome.
All right, let's go ahead and start. So just gently closing your eyes and starting to take some deep breaths. And as you start sinking into your seat, just letting go of anything that you did earlier today and anything that you need to do later today. And just being present in this current moment. Gently bringing your attention to your feet. And visualizing roots coming up from the core of Mother Earth. And these roots are coming up through the topsoil, up through the building, and into where you are, up into your feet. And these roots gently go up each of your legs, connecting to the base of your spine, known as the root chakra, the chakra of support. Visualizing the color red coming up these roots. And feeling the nourishment and support of our Mother Earth. Knowing that she is always there to support you and nurture you. And when you're ready, gently bringing your awareness to the top of your head. Visualizing a space above your head, opening up. Imagining white light pouring down into the top of your head, the crown chakra. This white light gently travels down into your face and into your neck. Travels down your shoulders, releasing any tension there. And gently down each of your arms and into your hands. White light now travels into the center of your chest, into your heart space, radiating that space. and gently travels down to below your sternum, into your belly, gently going further down, meeting your root chakra, down each of your legs and into your feet. And as you take a deep breath in, this white light starts to radiate out around you, forming a bubble of protection, a little white cocoon of your own. When you're ready, bringing your attention back up to your head. Visualizing your head sliding down the back of your spine and into your heart. You're stepping into compassion and out of judgment. Knowing that guidance comes through in different forms. Really just being present here today. In full awareness. And when you're ready, taking another deep breath. And in your next exhale, gently peeking open your eyes.
Wow. Thank you. Such a great experience. Thank you for starting with this beautiful grounding exercise. Okay. I feel so quiet. Oh my goodness, this is an amazing experience. Okay, thank you so much, Virpal, starting today's topic with this beautiful moments, right, with this grounding meditation. I do practice in the late in the night before I sleep in a different ways, but I learned something right now. It's a beautiful way another way to ground ourselves, and the feeling is amazing. And I was just reading this quotes the other day, and I loved it. This say, you, yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe deserve your love and affection. By Buddha. How beautiful is that? And this is exactly today's topic. We will be talking around the self-love, self-relationship. And self-love is exactly what it sounds, just loving yourself. It means loving all aspects of yourself by accepting your flaws and weaknesses. And self-love means create an environment for yourself in which you can make mistakes and you can grow and flourish. And tell me about your transitioning and about what inspired you to be in this path, and when exactly you felt urge to transition on in this area.
Thank you so much for that quote and for the question. So I would say that my reawakening process to myself really started about 6 years ago. I was at a point in my life where no matter what I was doing, whether it was, hanging out with friends, it was in work, or it was traveling and, going to experiences. Like I love to go to concerts and in-person events. Like nothing I was doing was really feeling fulfilling. And there was a friend that I had traveled with years before, and I had started seeing her post about her journey in yoga and her spiritual reawakening process. And that sort of inspired me to take a solo trip. And so I took a trip to Bali, and I traveled for about a week on my own and really was trying to be with myself. And I was tired of waiting for others to join me. And so I said, why not just go ahead and take a trip on my own? That was going to be really on my terms. And then I found a spiritual retreat. So I was there for about a week, and I was exposed to different healing modalities. I was exposed to Reiki for the first time by 2 practitioners, and also Chinese abdominal massage known as Chinese Sang, Chinese astrology, kinesiology, different forms of meditation and healing work. And so this started to awaken that latent abilities that I had, like that connection to myself. And I started learning about love languages and what my love language is. And, something that came to mind when I returned back to San Francisco was maybe I should look into Reiki. And I really did that for myself because touch is one of my biggest love languages. And so I took a Reiki course and I just started diving in. And that sort of started the awakening process. That was one step towards many steps to where I am right now. But Reiki was really the starting point for me in starting to discover various tools in my life. And I was still working in the corporate world at this time.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I think that the great point you made it, I think the first part was when you became aware about you're not fulfilling. I think that's the point most of us women we missed. Everyone missed that part where we are not spending enough time with ourselves, and we are most of the time on autopilot mode. And what we kind of don't feel any connection with ourselves, and then we might not able to listen what's our body's telling to us, what's our thoughts telling to us. So I think that is the main kind of point there where you felt you asked the question, why you're not feeling fulfilled, and you took the action, and then it's led to that journey, and you're really kind of living that right now. And I was reading about you. You also were in a corporate world for many years. So you said you have experience in you worked in a marketing, accounting, and finance, all those complex areas too. So tell me about, I see that a big challenge as of today for women. We are all in the corporate world, as I said, when we are on the autopilot mode. How you made a transition from corporate, what made you do? Is there any scene from your whole journey or any experience, what you felt, what made you to transition from that place to where you're now?
Yeah, so I worked in real estate as of late. It was only in October of 2019 that I left my corporate job. And, when I look back on it, I really think about where I was at in the corporate world and really started feeling that a few years before of this is really not where I'm going to thrive. This is not really where my passion is. I'm very much a people person and really enjoyed interacting with people. So as I started this self-discovery process, I wanted to share it with other people. And I started sharing it with my friends, with coworkers. And it was interesting because there just happened to be people that started to come to me and started asking me questions and were really curious about what I was doing. I started offering Reiki sessions to some of my coworkers, and, just hearing the experiences that they were having was really inspirational for me. And, and then, it just kind of happened in October of 2019. Prior to that, I sort of, was traveling and as I said, really working on myself, really diving deeper into my own healing, because spirituality is really a personal practice. And when I started doing that, I sort of knew in the back of my mind that I wanted to do something else. So I had considered starting a Reiki practice. And on the side, I sort of started doing some research. I have a background, I have a bachelor's and a master's in business. So I had this know-how of like what to do and start researching the business aspect of it. I started reaching out to friends and asking them, like, what are you doing? How are you making this a business? Like, how did you leave your corporate job? And that started to inspire me. And one of the biggest things that I learned from a friend of mine was really about setting boundaries. And so Reiki for me is love. It's really loving ourselves and others through this universal life force energy. So how can I charge people for love? But at the same time, I, really want people to value this work. So one of the tips that she gave me was really starting to set boundaries around my work and offering, so that I would start to value myself more and my time, and others would as well. So, just creating like a calendar link for friends and family to book sessions, in order for people to really start seeing that this is valuable work, but also for me to feel the sense of reciprocity. So it wasn't just me giving and not receiving anything back. So that was one of the, bigger lessons I've been learning, is really about reciprocity, that it's really important to receive back, and, it's okay for that. I think as women, we're taught to just keep giving.
Yeah, I think that's how we've been taught. Like, the culture we grew up, it's like we always think like we making the priority everything around us but accept us. And we feel like if we are not giving, that mean, or even we think if we are doing a boundaries, that means we're giving a meaning like we are selfish. And which is not true. It's completely opposite. Actually, when you loving yourself, you are contributing more to others. If like empty cup cannot pour to anything, right? So, and this is a very old saying, and this is so true. If we don't recharge ourselves, how we will be available for our loved one? So instead of just, when I learned that, that's completely changed the perspective. Just loving yourself means you are here to do more for others, except people gave a different meaning, being selfish, because there was a lot of things, the environment we grew up, like the culture thing. Like I always thought, like me is like after everyone, right? So even as a woman, like making a dinner, when everyone will eat, then I will eat. It's nothing like nobody is telling you to do that, but it's a cultural effect. But since I realized to value myself, listening to my body and giving more time to myself, like if I am good, then people around me will be more loved. So that's just a beautiful thing. I mean, I think, and as you mentioned, like when you started self-discovery process, and that's why, like in the other session we were other day discussing about the purpose and mission, it sounds very difficult. Purpose, finding your purpose, mission, but is that simple? Is listening to yourself, what excites you, what's put you in spark in day-to-day life. So it's again the self-discovery in the many of learning about your emotions, learning about your strength, giving yourself time. And I think that's where you started, and these all aspects are critical to find yourself. And you mentioned about the valuing my work. Yeah, and that is very important. Like sometimes, we don't value our own self, and I always use this one analogy, like for subject matter expert, we always go to learn new skill, new thing. But if we are not subject matter expert in ourselves, and we're going to ask people feedback, people are going to tell what they think about ourselves. So that's another point that we need to start valuing our work and guard our environment to make sure we are growing in that. And like an indoor plant, if we put that indoor plant and outside, it's not going to survive there. So we have to really guard our environment. Yeah, no, thank you so much for sharing that. And that's exactly where we want to learn together. And it's a journey. Every time I feel like I learn something, there's more to come. There are new emotion to come and new things to come. And as we said, it's a beautiful journey. And you mentioned another part, which I am on the kind of similar path. While we're learning, we feel urged to share with others. And that's like led me to this journey as well as we are connecting. I think that's very important. Like, it's just not a learn, but it's share with all the other community we all can grow together. So tell me, now the place you are in now, like you're really enjoying yourself, your surrounding, you know who you are. How was there some pain point before getting into the self-exploration journey? Like how you were like kind of different person as working in corporate or in any manner?
Yeah, I mean, so what sort of, I think, got to Bali when I reflect back was I was really feeling disconnected with myself. And so that was why I was drawn to going to a spiritual retreat, really to start to gain tools of how do I connect back with myself? How do I start listening to my body and my emotions and really start listening to my own rhythms? And, this is something that is in a constant process of learning. So I hold women's circles on a regular basis, usually on new moons and full moon circles. And one of the things that we really talk about is really starting to slow down so we can tap into our own intuition. And if we start paying attention to the cycles of the moon and our bodies, we start to notice patterns. And this is ancient wisdom that was taught thousands of years ago of really connecting with our bodies, and for women, our wombs. And this is really to tap deeper into our intuition and our inner knowing, because when we start slowing down and creating space for ourselves, we start hearing what our body needs. If we need rest, we need to get outside and get some sunshine or exercise. We need to socialize with others. We need to share our hearts. That was sort of one of the biggest pain points, and I think that's for a lot of people, is this disconnection from ourselves. And so when we're disconnected from ourselves, we're also disconnected from other people. We often are not really hearing them or not seeing them. And we're often making decisions from that place of disconnection of, even at work, making decisions that are really crossing our own boundaries. And we're constantly in this self-betrayal process of doing something and saying yes without even thinking twice about it. And we really need to know what our yeses are and what our nos are in order to really come from a place of making a decision that's in our highest interest. And I think as women, we're often taught to just say yes right away and to be really people pleasing and to make other people feel comfortable. And then oftentimes we go back after it happens and we're like, oh, why did I do that? That was really not something that I wanted. Or then feeling like, there's this projection of, oh, that person made me do this, or they made me feel this way. But we're really in control of how we teach people how to treat us. First, we have to learn how to treat ourselves before we can teach other people.
No, beautifully said. I mean, you nail it down in like few sentences. Like if we really are on autopilot and without even thinking, we saying yes and to everything, trying to please others and trying to figure out why other peoples are behaving like this, why these things are not working. And then the core root cause is like unawareness about who you are. So as I say, like self-discovery, self-awareness is the like fundamental, is a foundational step for all areas of life. Doesn't matter if it's a career and relationship. And as you said, like before even if you are on autopilot mode and we start saying yes to everything, pleasing everyone, and without even examining our own inner world, and then you will see the problems in your relationship, in your career, in everywhere. And then you will be wondering, oh, this job is not working for me. Oh, this person is not behaving well. And how many times we forget? I mean, this is a very simple solution. Like, be firm about who you are, and it's okay to say no. And once you align yourself with who you are, the thing starts flowing very easily. So yeah, other session we were saying other day, the other clue is when the things are flowing like effortless and you feel like the day is going good, that's give you a clue like that is your calling. But if you putting a lot of like energy, the things which is not aligned with you, you will feel all those outcomes like frustration, all those negative part of our life. So yeah, no, beautifully said, and I agree with it. So that's why even we are here today talking about like get on this path. It's an urgency to get on this path. Like if we are already there, it's just a journey. It's evolving. Just keep learning about ourselves. No, I love that. Thank you for that. And so yeah, beautifully explained that. And now like, tell me like it's completely, I know you already explained it, but I want to hear more like, okay, who you are now, like how you describe yourself now, like before coming from the corporate world, doing all those things, and now you are on this path. How you can describe yourself now?
I feel as though I'm more attuned to really what my needs are, and I trust my intuition more, and I have a deeper sense of connection to who I am, and I have less doubt and fear about expressing that. And, one of the things about really listening to yourself is again, paying attention to your needs. And so I know when to rest. I know when I need time and space from other people, when I need to process things, really knowing when to nourish myself, when to hydrate myself, when to get exercise, when I need sunlight. And I really started listening to my body and what I need. And also with human interaction is, noticing my sensitivities and when I need to have healthy boundaries and limit my interactions with certain people, and really just take time to myself. There'll be a few days where I just, I'm doing my own thing, whether that's focusing on my business practices, really creating creative processes, and some of those like grounding practices that I have is I like singing, so I've started getting back into the harmonium, chanting. I love time in the sauna to do meditation, and taking long walks by the water. Really just being out in nature allows me to connect deeper with myself. So I know now what to do when I'm feeling disconnected. I have a number of tools to go to.
Awesome. I love it. Love it. And that's exactly, sometimes I feel like, I love music and dance, and I was like connecting some dots. Even as a childhood, I always loved music, dance, debate competition, and used to participate in a lot of like these kind of stuff. That was my kind of give me a spark. And now like, when we get on the autopilot mode, we almost forget like what's our, hobbies are, what's our things. And I started getting into the singing. And I also started, as you're saying, you started learning harmonium. And I was like, when I have a keyboard, and I started using that. And it's just spending that time, like 2-3 hours one weekend. Oh my goodness, it gave me the sense of like so peace, like, so those are the clue. When you feel those feelings, that's who you are. And we are just putting a lot of layers on it, and we are kind of getting disconnected. So that's another one big benefit of self-discovery. We just get in ease with ourselves. And doesn't matter, even at your work, you will see like we all will do a very well at our work if we know ourselves. So this is really not just in our spiritual or our relationship, but even in the corporate world. This is the one fundamental aspect we are really missing it. we are just going from like one milestone to another milestone and keep chasing. And the other thing I find a big challenge, even in the corporate world, sometimes we feel like, okay, if we go to the next, rank and promotion, then we'll be happy. And I went through that journey. And when I got to the leadership role, and I'm like, oh, that's where it is? And I don't think that's what I was expecting. And then as soon as I just take a curve and I started aligning my strength to what I love to do, now I love what I do. So you see in your day-to-day outcomes how you feeling about it. So that's really, I loved your story, how you explained it, like who you are now and how you were before. And we want to share that. We do need to get a pause and need to align with ourselves. And the other thing, I know you mentioned there too, we do have a lot of people, I hear that like setting boundaries also seems like it's a selfish. But again, it's the opposite, right? And have you ever had a hard time like setting a boundaries? Like it's not easy, right? I mean, I learn now. But tell me something like is how people can set the boundary is a little bit in a more practical way where they're not thinking they're hurting someone or kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to your professional life as well as personal life, I mean, for me, I need to have a little bit of structure. And when I was in a corporate world, what really helped me was, using my calendar and scheduling time with people. And, that creates a boundary of, okay, my time is important, but also scheduling time for yourself. So, if that means blocking off your lunch break so that you need to go and take a walk and get off of your computer, get off of your phone so that you can really just get some fresh air, clear your mind, really just start sinking into what you need, nourishing yourself, but also clearing up anything that's going on. So if like the first half of the day, something happened that was, hit you emotionally, just taking that time to process it so you can regroup and regather your thoughts and, go back into the office with a clearer mindset. And, if that means saying, hey, I'm going to take some more time, or, responding to somebody with an email saying, let me get back to you, that's okay. And even in a meeting, if you don't know the answer, saying, I will have to get back to you on that. Like not feeling like you have to answer right away, but really that creates space, of like really sinking into how do I want to respond with this? And, even in your personal life, taking time to respond. I feel like now with technology, we're expected to respond right away, through text messages, so many different platforms of communication. Like I'm on social media, but I turn off my notifications because it's just really, really distracting. So it's important to create boundaries with others that are healthy so that they respect your time and know that you're not accessible all the time. And also having boundaries with yourself. So, one of my boundaries with myself is limiting the amount of time that I'm spending on social media so that I can actually nourish myself, be present with where I'm at, and also just relax my eyes, because being on devices, it's really, really draining energetically. And as human beings, we're not meant to do that all the time. I mean, I did not used to have reading glasses until I started working. So, that having those boundaries is very, very healthy. And, one of the reminders that I keep getting is making sure to stand behind your boundaries. So if you tell somebody that you're not available and then you answer their call, you're sort of, going back on what you said. And then you're showing them that you're always accessible and that you're always going to just at a whim, just go ahead and do something that they need. And you're going to put your needs on the back burner. So making sure that you're really standing behind your boundaries.
No, that is great. I mean, I learned a lot. I mean, even though I know this, I'm still struggling with it. And as you said, they stay behind it. Like, yeah, even I will do some boundary, but I end up going again. And that's giving other people a clue, like, no, you're still available. So no, awesome. And I think that's most of us, we still kind of struggle with it. And I know we kind of time, but I just loving this conversation. I feel like I can go another hour here, but I want to really hear more on like what you think like challenges are practicing self-love for women in corporate world. Like, what is the cause of it? Like, why it's a little difficult. I know we are wearing different hats. We still find that challenging.
So one of the things that I see with many women and myself is really that our divine feminine and divine masculine are out of balance. And so oftentimes our masculine energy is really in overdrive. And what is our masculine energy? Our masculine energy is really what's creating the structure and support for us to actually do the things that we need to do. And the feminine is really the creative. And so we need that masculine in order to basically put our feminine ideas into form. So if, here are a couple of signs of if your masculine is overriding your feminine. So if you feel like you're never good enough or like you're not doing enough, that's a sign that your masculine is in overdrive. Or you often shut down your own creative impulses. And so you're not creating the space to have creativity. Like I said, taking a break in the middle of the day or on the weekend, doing something creative, dancing, singing, painting, going out in nature. Like all of those things are actually going to really help you at work because you're going to let go of the ideas and the structure of, controlling a certain situation, and you're going to kind of let things flow. So the feminine is really about allowing flow and solutions to come about. Some other examples is you can't relax and you're really giving yourself a hard time about always being productive or you're not being productive enough. And you may not allow space for your emotions and, constantly telling yourself that you should feel differently. And so some of the signs of your feminine overriding your masculine, because it can happen both ways, is that you might feel scattered and you have all this energy, but it's not really being directed in any direction. So the masculine is helping us to really put things into form. So if we have all of these ideas, but then we're not actually following through on some of those, that's when our feminine is in overdrive. And another example is if you're deeply doubting your ability to manifest or execute goals. You often feel like your emotions are overwhelming or too much. Those are some of the examples. Or if you don't feel safe, and we can often not feel safe in a work environment. So those are some things to sort of watch out for if your masculine and feminine energy are out of balance, because we do need structure. We do need calendars. Like, as women, as mothers, we know that we're not going to get things done by just like going with the flow all the time. But we also need to remember that we can't be so rigid with things. We have to allow for flexibility.
Yep.
We have to allow for change, and oftentimes when we allow for that, solutions come without us even thinking about it.
No, such a powerful thing you mentioned. Yeah, I actually recently learned about this masculine and feminine, like different energies. So I think the key thing is both it's not like, but if we have to use in a balance, if we are using a certain way in a balance, then you're going to see a very good result. So it's learning about it and how we can use it, making sure we are not like overriding one over other, right? So that's a beautiful way you explained it. Oh my goodness, I'm loving this. Okay, and just for some like daily routine, I know you brought some. Maybe you want to share like what's some few key daily routine you do?
So starting in the morning, if you have time, I really recommend having some sort of practice, whether that's a morning prayer or meditation. And, often working in the corporate world, 9 to 5, you don't have time. So even if you have like 2 minutes, 5 minutes, something that I would do when I was working downtown was when I was on the train, I would listen to something on my phone. I'd had it pre-downloaded. So even if I lost service, I had something that I was listening to that was really helping me to ground and really just setting my intentions for the day. So if I had a difficult meeting coming up or a conversation, or, I would just, with a positive affirmation, say to myself, like, my day is going to go smoothly. This meeting or this interaction is going to, go well, and, it's going to be perfectly aligned. And then, some other practices is really just taking care of yourself in the morning. I use a gua sha tool, which is the jade crystal you can use for circulation on your face. Really just starts to wake you up. Taking your vitamins, like these, sort of basic things.
Stuffs, yeah.
Yeah. And then like in the midday work, or during work, I would listen to binaural beats. And these are basically sound vibrations on different frequencies. And so there's some that I would listen to help me concentrate while I was working. And also it helped me sort of, whatever chatter was happening at work that was distracting me, it helped me really be present where I was, and also was like helping balance my chakra system while I was working. And I mentioned earlier, just taking some fresh air, getting off of your devices, if you need to, even if it's like every hour, I would drink a lot of tea, or I drink a lot of water, so that I have to get out of my seat, off of my computer to go use the restroom, refill my glass. And then in the evening time, really just taking some time to disconnect. And, I drink some calming teas before I go to bed, something that has lavender or skullcap. There's a lot of like ones that you can purchase that have blends, and then if you can, doing some journaling, or at least listing 3 things that you are grateful for from the day. Your day can be really tough, but remembering what actually went well is a really good centering practice right before you go to sleep. Yes. And getting to bed on time. That's really important. Getting enough sleep can really seriously affect your mood and your concentration. And so sleeping at the same time every day, because when you sleep at odd hours, it really disrupts the flow of your sleep and energy. And it's not really, you don't get restorative sleep. And, Chinese practices and, there's a lot of research on how going to sleep no later than 11 really helps your gallbladder, which controls your emotions and your judgment, and the liver, which is really responsible for circulation and well-being. Those need to repair themselves. So when we're sleeping, our body is really restoring our organs, and this can really lead to better judgment and better emotional stability. So those are just some tips for every day.
Thank you so much. Those are great insight. Now, I already kind of in my mind, I'm registering all those and making a list. No, thank you. So if people want to reach out to you, how they can reach out to you?
Sure. You can reach out to me on my website. So it's risinglotusreiki.com. And I'm also on social media on Instagram, rising.lotus.reiki. And I'm also on Facebook, Rising Lotus Reiki SF.
Okay. Thank you, Virpal. Thank you so much for your time here today. And I'm very grateful to have you here and for your great insight. And thank you, everyone, all the viewers, for watching us or listening us. And thank you so much. And if you want to learn more about even my services, if you want to learn more about myself, and you can click down below. And also do not forget to subscribe us, because you can miss all the upcoming episode. And yes, we are not lost. We just need to take a pause and need to reconnect with ourselves to start living a meaningful life and share, care, and be rare. Thanks.
Thank you for listening. Please be sure to follow us on your favorite podcast player. If you ever have questions, visit unstoppablewithease.com or contact us at unstoppablewithease@gmail.com. Yes, we are not lost. We just need to take a pause and reconnect with ourselves to craft the life we want. Share, care, and be rare.